Good morning, everyone. Nikki here. Just clicking some buttons, and we are live. And I'm here with Dr. Ursula Stroh today. I've told you about this and said that you had to get on and have a listen. So I know that some of you will watch live and the rest of you will watch replay. So if you're watching replay, pretend that you're watching it live so that you can, answer the questions along the way or anything like that. So we are going to go into a little bit about Dr. Ursula shortly. I just want to remind you guys that we've got a few things coming up. We've got another one of our Living an Inspired Life workshops. So if that interests you, if you have not done that before, it's really, really fantastic for you to come out with a whole different perspective on life. And that's what we find most people do. And we've also put out a save the date for the 18th and 19th of June for our first ever Transform conference, which is really, really exciting. We're going to blow your mind with the speakers that we have coming along. It's all online, and tickets will be available for that one shortly. So let's talk about Dr. Ursula Stroh, who's here with us. Ursula is a change manager and a sailor. So there you go. A bit different. Her PhD and publications explore change management and the impact of relationships and change on well-being and resilience. Ursula has sailed around the world and from Tahiti back to Sydney, so she knows the importance of adjusting your sails when the winds change. So what we're going to be talking about today is in life, we constantly are changing. Our experiences are constantly changing. It might be work, it could be relationships, our physical and mental health, new events in our community and in our world. Look at what's just happened. We've just had 2 years of COVID. So even though we try hard to avoid change, because not a lot of people like it, everyone likes their comfort zone of, normality. It's just going to come. Unfortunately, change comes and we have to deal with it. So we're going to talk about how to deal with change today. So I am really excited to hand over to Ursula. She's going to share her screen and chat to you. So welcome, Ursula. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time this morning. I know you're super busy.
Thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate this opportunity. It's actually put me on quite a journey myself and made me quite emotional just to think back while I was preparing my talk today. I talk about this a lot because there's so many different facets of change that has been going on in my life as well, but this specific one is quite close to my heart. So I'm very, very stoked to share this with you today. And so what am I going to talk about today? Let me share my screen and take you on a bit of a journey with me. So let me know if you can't see this. And I might just ask people to make a little note if you are here and you hear me talking, to tell me whether you have some sailing experience and have sailed offshore sailing. Just really interesting to know if there's anybody here who has been doing any sailing. Nikki, maybe you can let me know if you get any comments, but I'll keep on talking and then I'll give you an opportunity to make any comments and ask me questions. Yep. So what am I going to?
We can see your screen perfectly. So
okay, awesome. Thank you.
There you go.
So what am I going to talk about today? So I want to share with you my secrets of coping with all the changes that I've been through in my life. And there's been some major ones. I've been through quite a few divorces and separations in my life. I tried for a long period of time to have kids, and that had caused a lot of impacts in my life. The fact that I could not have children. I've immigrated. I've moved house a lot of times. I have lost my job a few times. I've had major back operation. And yeah, just a lot of changes that I've had to deal with. And I think you can all think about the last 2 years and how that has impacted our lives. But they say that the most impactful changes are a death of a spouse or a child. Divorce is a big one. And as I said, been through a few. Separation from a partner. That's a big thing also. And then the fourth one that they have is imprisonment. I've been deported from Tahiti, but I haven't been in prison. And then major illnesses or injuries, and marriage, getting married, dismissal from work, marital reconciliation, and retirement. And a lot of older women face retirement and think about what they're going to do with their lives. Then there's also moving or selling a house. There's starting a new job or a new business. But I think a lot of us don't even realize all the changes that have major effects on our life, like the pandemic and the isolation that we're coming out of, and how that, even just coming out of isolation, how that impacts us. The fires and the floods. Some people go through domestic violence or have been in the last 2 years, or even positive things like big adventures or extreme sport or being a professional athlete and working towards a success. And then suddenly you have to retire from that sport because of injury or something like that. And all of these have severe consequences on us and impact our mental health. I belong to a group, for example, people who walk the Camino de Santiago, and they often write about the severe depression they go through or experience when they've completed the walk. So this is all changes that we have to think about. How do we cope with these things? So I'll start with a story. I completed my PhD in 2004. And the external examiners from the USA then offered me a job to work at Maryland to teach at one of the top schools in my field. I took the role on, and my husband at that time decided very, very short period of time before I had to go that he wanted to rather stay in Australia and complete his studies and keep on working. And for a year, we had this Skype relationship where we spoke every day. Typical of those types of jobs. And after studying for seven years to complete my PhD, I was very scared to be outed as an imposter. And I worked myself absolutely to exhaustion, day and night and late hours and weekends. When my husband went paragliding or camping or went out with friends or cycling, I just studied and worked. I was doing research papers, preparing for lectures and conference presentations, and grading papers, supervising PhD students. So I was just in my studies and in my work. And one day while we were on a call, my husband mentioned that he had bad news for me. So he knew that I really liked Steve Irwin, and he told me that Steve Irwin had died. And I was incredibly upset. I was in tears, actually, because I really liked him. And I asked him how it all happened. And he mentioned that Steve died while working with stingrays. And I stopped crying and I said, oh, actually, that makes me feel a little bit better. And I said that at least he died doing something that he was really passionate about. And my husband was quite surprised, and he said, wow, so does that mean that if I die in a paragliding accident that you wouldn't be upset? And I said, well, obviously I would be sad. I would really be sad, but I wouldn't be as upset as I would be if you had just died from cancer or a car accident or a bus hitting you or something like that. And he was quiet for a bit and he thought about it and he said, so how are you going to die one day, being hit by a book against your head or something? And I was like, wow, it really kind of stopped me. And I thought to myself, wow, is that really how he sees me? Is that really how the world sees me? That my passion was just books and studying, and that was what my life was all about. And I thought, wow, what a boring way to be looked at, or what a boring life I'm living. And I really thought about it for a long time, and it made me actually incredibly sad. I worked so hard, and for what? To leave what kind of legacy, and what kind of life am I really living? And that really haunted me and stayed in the back of my mind. Anyway, let's fast forward. So eventually I got divorced, which was something that I really didn't plan for and didn't want. And I was quite devastated by it. And together with that, my dad had cancer. And he was very ill. I was in Australia. My parents are in South Africa, and I couldn't be with my family. And my job was incredibly stressful. And I just basically broke down completely. And I'm talking quite suicidal at that point. I was just really devastated. And I in this whole process of turmoil and a lot of internal pain, I saw this. So you can break down a woman temporarily, but a real woman will pick up the pieces, rebuild herself, and come back stronger than ever. And I really needed to see that and hear that. And I thought to myself, well, how can I rebuild myself? How can I become stronger? I felt that I needed to get myself completely out of my comfort zone to get to that point. So one day on a train to work in the middle of all of that turmoil and stuff going on in my life, and I was feeling incredibly lonely. And I was on this train, people standing very close to me. That was obviously before COVID, long before COVID. I saw this sign next to the station in Waverton. And I immediately got off the train feeling incredibly excited. This was going to be my change, I thought. And I applied right there and then in my office. I had no money. I had no sailing experience whatsoever. Remember that I grew up in South Africa, in Johannesburg, in the middle of a country, far from the sea. I haven't been on a sailing boat, well, probably been on a sailing boat about 3 times in my life. And it was probably foolishly ignorant of me to think that I could do this. It was a few months before my 50th birthday. I was broke, I was divorced, I was sad, I was quite broken. And I just wanted the hurt to go away and everything that was going on with me. I just wanted that to stop. And this was how I chose to do it. So I took up 3 part-time jobs. I sold everything of value to me, like my car. I put everything in storage. I had my broker help me mortgage me up so that I had a bit of money to kind of just handle all of this. I took a voluntary redundancy to help me pay for all of this. And it was probably financially the worst thing I could ever have done at that point, because this race costs a lot of money. I'm talking probably up to $100,000, never mind the loss of income during that year and so on. So it was big for me. I had to give away my dog and my cat. So this was what I ended up doing. So this is me at the beginning of this race. I went for training. This was while we were doing training. These photos, I was very clumsy on a boat. I was dumb with the sails and the lines and the ropes, and it was a whole new language for me. I didn't speak boat. I knew nothing about sailing. I had to learn about port and starboard. I was really actually a bit dangerous as a crewmate for the others, but I learned. I was so determined to be a good sailor. I tried incredibly hard, and it was really, really hard. We were only 4 women on a boat with 20 crew, and we were not treated any differently in terms of having to do all the hard things the men had to do. And I can remember the day we left for this race around the world, which took a year. And I was in the Grange Tower Bridge Hotel in the last night before we left London on the 1st of September, 2013. And I wrote myself a little note that I left in a bag only to be accessed if I were to return safely after a year at sea. Now, these races, they've lost people overboard, people who got hit by the boom and died, things like that. I put this little note in a box, with an anchor charm to represent my return to terra firma after the circumnavigation. I remember how incredibly scared I was, how unfathomable the experience ahead seemed to be, and how vulnerable at that moment I felt. And this is what I wrote. Life is a circle, and I'm starting this one again. On a creaking boat with holes and watery bilges, but large, proud sails and a big bummed, hard-chined hull. Lazy her lulls and tardy her doldrums, while she revels in storms and wild windy waves that angles her body and pounds her bow. Who will I meet when I say my name out loud? Who will I face when I see my scarred reflection? The person walking towards me at the exact place she started this circumnavigation will be a woman with no doubt of whom she's become. and there will be change. Sunburned eyes, sky blue weathered, but warrior brave through a fearless smile. A quiet calm with confidence and acceptance of what life has dished out. Embracing the moment right here, right now. I can't wait to meet her. So let me connect back to my story of how I will die one day. And I want to share this video with you. I'm going to try and see if it's going to play. Let's try. See if it works. And it might be a little bit jarred and you might not hear the music very well. But I do just want to share it with you because it does give you a sense of what we went through. So this is what the waves look like in the Southern Ocean. It's the most remote and scariest place I've ever experienced. It was freezing cold with the wildest of weather. I can't really explain the feeling of the waves, the water, and every time you zipped up your wetsuit, your weather gear, and climbed up those stairs up on deck, I was absolutely shitting myself. We had severe hurricanes, over 150 knots of wind and seas. You just can't forget. The noise of the wind was overwhelming. And that angle that you see there, just remember, there's crew downstairs trying to sleep, trying to cook, trying to live below deck. But this was kind of the feeling you sometimes had when the water came absolutely pounding over the deck. But it was scary. It was really scary. The noise of the wind was absolutely overwhelming. The rain coming at us horizontally in huge, big drops, and the boat almost on its side. And you can see how we were just absolutely bashed by the waves. So just to give you a feeling of that, just imagine the motion and how that felt. Sometimes it felt as if you were totally drowned by the water. But I want you to watch this. Look at this person drenched by this wave. And look at that face. That is exhilaration. So let me just stop sharing this video and I'll just go back to my slide. So in the middle of that storm, am I still sharing my screen?
No, not at the moment, just your beautiful face.
Okay, so let me share my screen again. So yeah, in the middle of one of the biggest hurricanes, as I said, sometimes over 150 knots, I can recall one specific moment. And we were on watch on deck. I was on watch with 4 other people. We sat huddled together for warmth and just to keep us feeling that we were not alone in the middle of the storm and the drama unfolding all around us. We had to go and take the jib down, and that's the big front sail of the boat, and put up a little storm sail just to help steer the boat. And that was in the middle of a storm, actually much worse than that video that you just watched. We were tethered on and battled for a half an hour to get to the bow of the boat. And I remember how the boat went through these waves, the noise diving into the water. And at those moments, we were lifted from the deck as we were submerged in the water. I couldn't breathe. You were like really under the water and you were floating. And then as we came out of the wave, we were smashed against the deck again. We took our next breath and we saw the next wave coming. And I thought to myself, oh my God, today I'm going to die. Today is the day. This is it. I was so scared. I can so remember myself saying to myself, this is how it's going to happen. This is how I'm going to die. And then suddenly the Steve Irwin story came into my head. And I thought to myself, oh my God, this is not a book against my head. This is the most incredible storm in the most incredible place on earth, on a boat with crewmates. What a most wonderful way to die, I thought to myself. And suddenly the storm was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. The air was crisp and the sea was blue and the drama was suddenly exhilarating and the best adrenaline rush I have ever had. And the fear turned to fascination and awe. So this video gave you just a bit of that taste. The story in my head, my attitude, my paradigm, my thoughts changed. The storm didn't change, but my life sails, my mind sails were adjusted and trimmed. So this was me a year later, finishing the race with my crew. 10 of us went all around the world, and the other 10 came on and off in different stages of the race. A whole life happened in that year. So when we left London, I took 3 little charms with me on a bracelet around my arm. One was a little sailing boat, which you can see there. One was a little cat on a pillow and a cushion. I lost my cat when I left the race. Nobody ever saw the cat again. And a little star chime for my dog that I had to give away to friends to take care of. Her name was Kalka, which is Indigenous Australian language, means star. And then the anchor charm, which you see there, which I told you about, and a note to myself. And the note is in Afrikaans, in my home language. And it said, if I can translate it directly, be very, very proud. Congratulations. You are incredible. And you deserve only the best that life has to offer. If you're reading this, you should know you can do anything. And that little note I opened after that year, and I left that in my luggage in London. And I must admit, it changed the whole way that I looked at life. So sometimes I must admit, I still don't know how I did it. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. But it was also the most life-changing, most wonderful, and best thing I've ever done. It set me on a path of constant change, things I've instigated myself. I still change things for myself all the time. When I get comfortable, I change something, and usually something big, like I move. I'm moving in 2 weeks' time. So I do that very often to myself. And also, a lot of things constantly seem to also happen with me. But you know what? That is what our lives are now. I think as we get older, as life, you can see that in the last 2 years, it's just constant change. And as we get older, we have to experience more people dying around us. Divorce happens, menopause happens, children leaving home happen. A lot of these things are things that happen to us, but all these changes, like this one, open doors and create opportunities. And they've created opportunities for me that I would never have had if I didn't do that. For example, I sailed from Tahiti from Tahiti to Sydney through the South Pacific for a year with the man I met on the race, and was an absolute highlight of my life so far. So remarkably, I think it also helped me through the isolation of the pandemic, the fact that I've had to manage all these changes in my life. I'm still not sure how I made it through, but I did, and we did, through the pandemic, for example. So what does this mean? What am I trying to tell you? And this comes from a book called 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin. There's 8 here, but that's just a summary kind of what's in the book. It says strong people stop feeling sorry for themselves. They take control of their lives. They accept that change is going to be a constant, and they're ready for changes in their life. They build resilience, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Failures make you stronger. Failure is not a bad thing. Storms are not bad things. Changes are not bad things. They're actually there to make us stronger. They leave the past behind. They don't dwell in the past. I must admit, that's one that I really battle with that one. But strong people leave the past behind. They take calculated risks. They appreciate time alone. And I can tell you, even though I was with 20 other crew or 19 other crew on that boat, it was probably some of the loneliest times in my life. I felt sometimes incredibly alone, just sitting on the side of that boat, looking out at sea for hours and hours. It was a very lonely experience. And also, we develop realistic expectations if we stay strong through our changes. It's always like, come on, grow up, princess. Life is just tough. Life is really tough. And you have to not be unrealistic about it being a fairy tale. It isn't. It's tough. So what are the 3 messages that I'd like to leave for you through this talk and to help you trim your sails? Learn resilience. I always teach this to my clients, and it's one of the things that I actually offer as a coach myself. I help people learn the skills of resilience, how to be more resilient in the face of fear that comes with change. And man, that fear can be so difficult. Every time when we were on that race, every time we slipped the lines, I was terrified. I remember walking to that boat thinking, just keep one more step, don't turn back. I was carrying that heavy bloody bag over my shoulders, walking to that boat thinking, I will find any excuse not to go on this boat for the next leg. I was terrified, and I still am. Every time I'm on a boat and I slip the lines, I have that feeling of fear coming up. And trust me, I wasn't always strong. There are a few people out there who can attest to that in my life who've seen me at my most broken. And I'm sorry about doing that to people. So I can just say, learn resilience, learn the skills to make you more resilient. The second point there is it's a mindset. And there are great systems and processes we can learn that help us with mindset changes to help us react with the spirit of adventure and with a smile like that person in the video. In the middle of that storm, when you get absolutely drenched to the bone, you can turn around with a big smile on your face and go, wow, isn't this actually a journey and an adventure? And the last point there, rely on your inner strength. It's there. Just find it. And I can help you, and coaches like Nikki can help you find that strength. You are the only one who can pick yourself up and get yourself through. And it's bloody lonely to change. It's the most alone you will ever feel if you can take it up. But strength alone is the most empowering feeling, being alone, strength and being alone. It takes, I take a lot of older women through the power of, for example, traveling alone. And that is one of the most empowering feeling and boosts your confidence incredibly. So solo traveling is a great passion of mine. So I really hope that you can find the positive in all the changes around you. And I want to end with this slide. 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do. And just by the way, this photo is one of my most favorite photos that I took while we were in a quiet spot one morning on the boat, very morning, early watch, and the dolphins came playing on the bow. And I realized how incredible that was. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, catch the trade winds in your sails, explore, dream, discover. Thanks, Nikki.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. That was an amazing story. And oh, geez, I don't know how you did it. Yeah, you really took me on a real kind of an experience there. So that's amazing. So now that you're home and you're on soil, what do you do now to help you have clients? What do you do to help them now?
Yeah, so I take them through there's several kind of journeys that I can take them through and help them understand what impact change has. And I think it's quite important to understand that as well, to dissect it a little bit and understand how changes impact us, what our physiological reaction to that is, how our minds get affected by it, the influence of an impact of fear. And then I take them through the journey of building resilience, finding their own inner strength, and also seeing all of these things, all of these adventures as ways of making us stronger. But one of the most important things that I love to also focus on is the strength of loneliness, the strength of being alone, and what positives you can get from being on your own very often in these journeys. Even if you're in a relationship or in a family or in an organization or where you have people around you, very often these changes affect us each in a different way. And loneliness can be a very, very strong journey to go through, or strengthening journey to go through. So I help take them through that as well.
Yeah, awesome. And I believe you've got a special offer for our audience and our group if they would like you to take you up on it. I can't even speak today. Yes. It's Monday.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, if anybody feels like just having a chat first, and we can have a bit of an assessment of a change in your life, how it's impacted you, how you feel about it. And yeah, just maybe give you a few little pointers to help you understand why it's impacting you the way that it is, and what maybe are tips that I can give you of how you can help with those impacts, so that you can turn the negatives and all the losses that you felt during those changes, to make them into strengths for yourself and turn them into positives for yourself, so that you can take that experience and learn from it. And any other changes that then come your way, how they will be something that you almost welcome as learning experiences. Even though they're hard, I embrace all those changes now. And as I said to you, sometimes when I start feeling a bit too comfortable, I often move myself into a change situation.
That's amazing. So if anyone would like that, a lot of people watch on replay, comment, and we can get in touch with Ursula for you. So Ursula, thank you so much. I really enjoyed listening to your story. You really did take me on a journey, and it would have been scary at some of those points, but I can imagine, with the experiences I've been through as well, just looking out at that water when you're in the middle of it and it's nice and calm, and just being in awe of how beautiful the world really is. So I'm sure you've had that during that experience. So yeah, guys, absolutely. Give me a big congratulations and a thank you to Ursula for coming on and sharing her story. Don't forget, every month we bring on a different speaker to provide you some value or inspire you or give you some motivation, give you some tools like Ursula's talked about, some tools around change. So we've had lots of different speakers coming to us. This has been one of my favorites. So you're going to get so much out of it. If you're just catching the end of the live, make sure you go back and watch the full replay. So Ursula, thank you. Have an amazing day. And for everyone, I will see you soon.
Thanks for the opportunity, and keep well.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.